Success International Language Services.
Today we'll be discussing questions and how to avoid complications and confusion with your students to help them truly understand how to use questions, especially focusing on the difference between questions with present simple and past simple and whether to use or not an auxiliary verb. This kind of thing is simple for us but complicated for them and requires some special explanation. Hope this video helps you.
Questions, anyone? Asking questions in the present and past simple forms can be something which appears very simple, but actually needs some special explaining. In many languages, the differences between an affirmation and a question means simply changing the vocal intonation. Here's an example in the Portuguese language. The affirmation, ele adora canela, and the question, ele adora canela? In English, we also change the intonation, but need to do some other things. This lesson will discuss different strategies for students to ask questions correctly in present simple and past simple. Question words and their meanings. To ask a question that cannot be answered with only yes or no, we need to use question words, usually at the beginning of the question. Whom, for people who are passive. Who, for people who are active. What, for things. Where, for places. Why, for reasons. Which, for choices, this one, that one. Whose, for possession. When, for time, days, and dates. How, for the way something happens. The difference between questions about subjects and objects. To ask a question in present simple and past simple, we need to consider a few things before forming the question. Number one, what kind of information are we asking about? For example, a thing, what? A place, where? So then we choose the right question word to ask about the information we need to know about. Two, is the question about the subject, someone or something that is doing something in an active way, or about the object? Information about someone or something passive that is not actively doing anything. Three, is the question present simple or past simple? Questions in past or present simple about sentence subjects. A possible question could be, example number one, my blank loves steak. In example number one, we know we need to ask about someone or something. Since the verb is loves, we know it is someone or something that feels emotions, so we need the question word who. We know the verb loves is in present simple, and we know that who is the subject of the sentence. That means that we use the same verb loves in our answer without any changes in verb conjugation. Question about the subject. Who loves steak? Answer, my dog loves steak. The difference between questions about subjects and objects. Another question could be, example number two, my dog loves blank. In example number two, we know we need to ask about something. We need the question word what. We know the verb loves is in present simple and that what is the object of the sentence, meaning we must use the auxiliary verb do in present simple, in this case conjugated as does, like the main verb loves is present simple. Which means that since we conjugated the verb does, we will not conjugate the main verb, so the verb will be love, not loves. Question, what does my dog love? Answer, my dog loves steak. Be careful of prepositions when asking questions. In modern English, it's considered to be excessively formal to begin a question with a preposition, like in, to, for, so we avoid doing that. As a general rule, if you ask a question about information that occurs near the end of a sentence, and that information follows a preposition right before it, then we must leave the preposition at the end of the sentence. Be careful of prepositions when asking questions. Here's an example of a sentence which might cause us some problems if we don't do this. I always eat with blank. Wrong question. Whom do I always eat? The preposition with was, wrongly, not included at the end of the question. Now it seems that we eat someone, like a cannibal. Right question. Whom do I always eat with?
Well, teachers, hope that this video was helpful to you in helping your students with their issues about asking questions in English, especially in the formation of present simple and past simple questions and whether or not they need an auxiliary verb and the logic behind that. And remembering that with many languages, this is a new concept for these students, because in their language, possibly only changing intonation would be sufficient for them to ask a question. They don't have to reformulate the sentence, or the phrase rather, to make a question. So hope this helped. Remember that you can find other cool stuff by clicking here, and we will see you at our sites.